infusion would be like a 5 to 6 hour event at the infusion place. Mm-hmm. And there was a cycle to it. So like the first days I would feel kind of okay because they give you all these steroids and all these drugs to kind of keep the sickness of the chemo at bay. And then that week I would just start to feel like garbage. Like the best description for me was just like you feel super hungover, like poison. Your system's just been poisoned. Stomach's all out of whack. Brain's out of whack. Your brain is foggy. Like, you know, like when you're hungover in your brain, you just cannot think clearly, like that kind of feeling. And then the second week, it'd feel a little better. The third week, I'd feel a little bit better. And then I'd start that cycle all over again.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So at the beginning of that, there were still some waves coming in. So I was making sure I still got out to surf, even though, again, I'm not in top condition. But every time I'd go out there, we're now in the dead of winter. The cold air, the breathing, the surfing, the exuberance of like catching waves or just getting beat up just made me feel good. And I would feel like, oh, I can feel some vitality coming back. So I actually felt like surfing was helping me push through all this chemo treatment. Mm-hmm. So then cut to March and, you know, suddenly all the shit's hitting the fan. It's like New York suddenly woke up and was like, okay, you know, schools are starting to shut down. And then the governor's finally like getting on board to like, okay, people stop moving around. This is what's happening. We don't have enough ventilators. Right. So in my mind, I know that I'm in a population that's, you know, at risk because my immune system's suppressed. And actually during my infusions, like at least 2 infusions before we actually shut down, the nurses were starting to talk about it and they were already making preparations. Wow. And they were already starting to screen people like, do you feel sick? Do you have a cough? Do you blah, blah, blah? Wow. You know, they were already kind of prepared, but they knew that had to keep the cancer patients going. You know, it's like, what are your options here? You know, if you stop your treatment, you're potentially allowing your cancer cells to grow back or whatever. So in my mind, I'm thinking, I got to keep surfing because I know that the surfing's actually keeping my immune boosted. And I had also like came across those videos by this guy, Wim Hof, who's like this breathing expert who through his breathing techniques and diving into cold water, like all that cold bath stuff comes from him. Ice baths, that comes from him. And he's like, this is how you boost your immune system. And he has done tests where they've injected him with like some kind of virus and he was able to fight it off because his immune system is so strong.
Wow.
So in my mind, I'm like, oh, this is what winter surfing's all about, right? Like that cold water immersion, all that breathing is keeping my immune system strong. So I was thinking, this is good.
Well, we're not really immersing because we're wearing a 5-mil wetsuit.
But it's pretty close. I come out of the water.
The air's cold. You're breathing it more furiously.
I think there's something, I mean, it's not exactly the Wim Hof method, but there is something to it.
The ions.
I mean, I think that it's boosting. I mean, it's not like you're warm. I mean, you still get cold as hell. And that changing out of your suit and everything, you're still like blasting yourself with cold air. Anyway, so when we went into that serious lockdown and I was talking to you and I was like, oh, maybe I'll go out on Saturday. And you're like, are you crazy? And then all these other things started to happen. Then I kind of woke up. I was like, whoa, we're in a hot zone. We were in a hot zone 2 weeks before that, but I'm glad
the news had really circulated and how dire it felt like, oh, well, you were an old person. And if you know, it felt like it was still manageable.
And the city was still kind of open and then suddenly it shut down and then everyone was. So then I stopped for at least 6 weeks, I think.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So I stopped going out. I was like, forget it. It's too.
Yeah.
But I had at least 2 more infusions in between and they were really difficult. I actually felt really shitty and really lethargic and just ill. And so in my mind, I was thinking, oh, I really actually need to get back in the water. So this last week, when was it? Last week that I went out? Yeah. Maybe I went out one more time before that. Yeah. So a week ago before that, I think I went out for the first time after we've been in lockdown. And then complain to you about how many people in the Rockaways are not social distancing.
Oh my God.
Can we just
on land or off land? I don't know. I don't know. It's the beach community thing. People just feel like really like comfortable, like we're okay.
I don't know. I have a feeling it's a lot of people who maybe don't live in the Rockaways who are still coming out to surf, like myself. I hate to, but like, I'm in that category. But it's like I feel much more sensitive to how far I am from people. Like I was paddling away from like takeoff spots because I was like, whoa, dudes, you're like 3 feet from me, or do you not give a shit? So I don't know. I mean, I do know for sure that the surfing has boosted my energy and my immune, and I know it's necessary, but how to surf safely while we're still in COVID. And COVID is not going to be over for, I really
don't think unless we find a vaccine.
Yeah, it's not. And
in the time frame that it'll take for a virus to kind of like wane. And also, who knows? It's just like, who knows?
We don't know. And people are just sick of being locked down. So they're getting very careless out there, I think is what's happening. And
a sense of optimism with the weather being nice. Like I feel like before that first month was really dark.
Because it was cold
and dark out, and everything about it was just,
difficult.
Definitely.
And the other thing I am worried about is the second wave that seems to be, I've read more about it, and I've, based upon the 1918 flu pandemic. There's this guy who wrote this book about the 1918 flu, and he's been like giving all these interviews lately. And he's just like, what happened with their second wave was that it hit late fall, winter of the following year. Basically, we're following this pattern. Right. Exactly. And the virus had mutated, and then it hit a younger population. Shit. So basically, the 1918 flu had the same signature as COVID did, where it was hitting the older population and a younger population, like children, and then it hit this middle, the healthy, and it has to do with it's your immune system that's actually attacking yourself is what the thing that brings people down, right? So it's not the virus necessarily; it's how the immune system turns around and tries to shut it down, and it overwhelms your system. There's a name for it, I can't remember. But that the death rate was quicker.
Autoimmune, like an autoimmune kind of function?
You know what? It's called cyto blah, blah, blah. I'll look it up. There's a name for it but it has to do with your immune system getting triggered by the virus to then attack it, and then it overwhelms your own system. And that's when that whole pulmonary thing happens. Oof. So I don't know, like that scared me. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, we're probably in the point where the virus is mutating at this moment. And especially since we aren't shutting down
across the board
anywhere. Yeah. So maybe we flatten the curve in New York, but look at these crazy places opening back up in Texas and Minnesota and Florida. And it's going to spike again.
Yeah.
And it probably will spike again in New York just as soon as we start wandering around and
2 weeks from now.
2 weeks from now. So, yeah.
I mean, the upside is that we all I just got my antibody test. And people the testing. Now I read about some kind of mail-in test, like people can do at home. I mean, who knows how accurate that's going to be, but and who knows how accurate the antibody test is going to be, but it's, hopefully, and also, I mean, initially they were saying, not immunization, what do you call it? Vaccines would take like a year and a half to properly test. But then today in the newspaper, they're like, oh, something shows good signs of, now it's moving to human trials. And it's like, oh my God, this is record speed. Maybe it's possible, but also, how much do we rely on this,
Well, yeah. I mean, I think
shortcuts are being taken, especially given the antibody test, the flood of it in the market, and so much of it is not even legit because the FDA just opened the floodgate.
Right, exactly. The regulations have been laxed, so they're going to pump out these things that say, okay, this is going to give you the antibody test, and this is your
people are just going to make money off of it. Companies make money off of it. Not even going to be accurate.
Yeah, I mean,
have a false sense of whatever, and
because your antibody came back negative, right?
No, I'm still waiting.
Are you still waiting? Well, so another friend of mine who's pretty sure she got it because her ex got it, and they share a child. The child got tested positive.
Whoa!
The child got it, very mild, and then she got symptoms. She didn't get tested, and neither did the child. But the doctors said, okay, just assume it's COVID. If your ex had it and you're sharing the child, but then she got the antibody test and it came back negative. So there's all these
at least two.
Yeah, I think that But this puts the population, like the burden
of security,
but the burden of our health is on us to figure it out, right?
We can't. And this is really a big public policy, like this is not an individual thing. This is like something that needs to be done. And that's why like our leadership, national leadership, federal leadership has been so important and sadly
lacking.
Really not just lacking, but really getting in the way of things. Like I feel like if, whose name will remain nameless would just get out of the way,
right?
Maybe we'd be better off. But I just feel like, oh God, it's just.
I know.
And then all the politicians of that, I won't get into it, but kind of capitalizing on it. Look at all the things that they're trying to push through, thinking that nobody's paying attention. But
no, I know everything seems like a disaster.
Yeah, it feels bleak.
It feels bleak, but it feels like it's on us to decide what the best thing to do is, which is, I don't know if...
Continue the work that we're doing, continue surfing in a safe way. I think, our conversation, of course, as it does, goes here, there, everywhere. But I do feel like there is this thread. And, I think, I don't know if we kind of went through the real arc of your story, relationship to surfing. I guess the thing that I wanted to bring up was kind of like, how has your relationship to surfing, like in what ways has it been energized, or like what's the new lens that you have for surfing now that you've picked it up in New York of all places? That's radically different and like really surprising for you, surfing in New York and this kind of second wave of surfing in your life. And then the work that you're doing, that you have been doing, and that you've been doing during COVID, the surf book that you were talking about.
I feel like surfing's an essential part of my well-being now, and it's
in a more conscious way, because it was a part of your well-being.
Well, as a kid, I don't think it was something I did and something I enjoyed. I didn't have a community, like I didn't have a community of surf friends. My brother would surf with me, my friend would surf with me, but I surfed alone a lot. Like I would go out a lot on my own terms. So it was something that was just there for me. But I think now it feels absolutely essential to my mental well-being and my physical well-being. And I don't want to say it's an identity, because I feel like surf identity is so fraught with a lot of weird marketing and, the industry itself, which I think is incredibly sexist for the most part. So I'm trying to, I guess, tap into what surfing is not informed by what the commercial culture has been doling out. And I think a lot of what people adopt is what the commercial culture of all the brand and apparel, doles out, and who the hot surfers are. And, like it's so narrow in its cultural expression. So
do you think that's like really, yes, I totally hear the devil's advocate. Like it's been interesting because of Instagram and other kind of avenues in which alternative surfers that aren't, on the circuit, all the free surfers, even they're prone to all those other biases, but, there's more room for,
well, I agree with you. And I feel like the interview that you did with Ashley Lloyd, like that was like, here's this woman who lives outside of that like very narrow scope, and she is making a living making surfboards, and she has her own culture, and the culture of the women that she surfs with in California is something that we don't get to see that much of, when we're looking at Instagram and, looking at surf videos and stuff. So I think there are pockets that aren't necessarily well known.
I don't think you're looking in the right places, Grace.
Well, but the thing is, you have to look, right? The thing is, if you log in and just start looking at surf stuff, all the very typical, predictable stuff comes up first. So you have to dig down. And so unless you're really tapped into all different communities like you are, you wouldn't know. So I know other surfers who kind of don't really know. They maybe know their small little community, and then they have an awareness of what the pro apparel brands are doing. And there isn't like, where do I fit into this kind of scheme